The Kennedy Center Honors is an annual honor given to those in the performing arts for their lifetime of contributions to American culture. The honors have been presented annually since 1978, and each December culminate in a star-studded gala celebrating the honorees in the Kennedy Center Opera House. Ricky Kirshner and Glenn Weiss of White Cherry Entertainment have been selected as executive producers of the 38th Annual Kennedy Center Honors. On December 6, 2015, the Kennedy Center will celebrate the lifetime achievements of American rock band The Eagles, singer-songwriter Carole King, filmmaker George Lucas, actress and singer Rita Moreno, conductor Seiji Ozawa, and actress and Broadway star Cicely Tyson. CBS will broadcast the Honors Gala on December 29, 2015. Selection process: honorary recommendations are accepted from the general public, and the Kennedy Center initiated a special Honors Advisory Committee, which comprises 2 members of the Board of Trustees as well as past honorees and distinguished artists. The Executive Committee of the Board of Trustees selects the honorary recipients based on excellence in music, dance, theater, opera, motion pictures, or television. The events: the weekend-long ceremony includes the Chairman's Luncheon, State Department Dinner, White House Reception and the Honors Gala and Supper. Surrounded by the honorees, the luncheon is held on Saturday at the Kennedy Center, with a welcoming speech by the Chairman of the Board of Trustees. At that evening's reception and dinner at the State Department, presided over by the Secretary of State, the honorees are introduced and the honors medallions are presented by the Chairman of the Board. On Sunday, there is an early evening White House reception hosted by the President of the United States and the First Lady, followed immediately by the Honors Gala and Supper. Recipients: there have been 203 recipients to date of the Kennedy Center Honors Awards during the honors' 38 years. The vast majority have been bestowed on individuals. On 10 occasions since 1985, awards have been presented to duos or groups, including 3 married couples, lyricist Alan J. Lerner and composer Frederick Luer, actors Hugh Cronin and Jessica Tandy, musical comedy duo Betty Comden and Adolph Green, dancers Faryad Nicholas and Harold Nicholas, actors Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, songwriters John Kander and Fred Ebb, actors Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, musicians Pete Townshend and Roger Daltrey of The Who and the members of Led Zeppelin and the Eagles. 1970s 1978 Marian Anderson, Frederick Astaire, George Balanchine, Richard Rogers, and Arthur Rubinstein. 1979 Aaron Copland, Ella Fitzgerald, Henry Fonda, Martha Graham, and Tennessee Williams. 1980s 1980 Leonard Bernstein, James Caney, Agnes de Mille, Lynn Fontanne, and Lenton Price. 1981 Count Basie, Cary Grant, Helen Hayes, Jerome Robbins, and Rudolph Serkin. 1982 George Abbott, Lillian Gish, Benny Goodman, Gene Kelly, and Eugene Ormandy. 1983 Katherine Dunham, Eli Kazan, Frank Sinatra, James Stewart, and Virgil Thompson. 1984 Lena Horne, Danny Kaye, Giancarlo Menotti, Arthur Miller, and Isaac Stern. 1985 Merce Cunningham, Irene Dunn, Bob Hope, Alan J. Lerner and Frederick Luer, and Beverly Sills. 1986 Lucille Ball, Ray Charles, Hugh Cronin and Jessica Tandy, Yehudai Menuhin, and Anthony Tudor. 1987 Perry Como, Bette Davis, Sammy Davis, Jr., Nathan Milstein, and Alwyn Nicolais. 1988 Alvin Ailey, George Burns, Minna Loy, Alexander Schneider, and Roger L. Stevens. 1989 Harry Belafonte, Claudette Colbert, Alexandra Danilova, Mary Martin, and William Schumann. 1990s 1990 Dizzy Gillespie, Katharine Hepburn, Risa Stevens, Jules Stein, and Billy Wilder. 1991 Roy Acuff, Betty Comden and Adolph Green, Faryad and Harold Nicholas, Gregory Peck, and Robert Shaw. 1992 Lionel Hampton, Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, Ginger Rogers, Mstislav Rostropovich, and Paul Taylor. 1993 Johnny Carson, Arthur Mitchell, Georg Solti, Stephen Sondheim, and Marion Williams. 1994 Kirk Douglas, Aretha Franklin, Morton Gould, Harold Prince, and Pete Seeger. 1995 Jacques D'Amboise, Marilyn Horne, B.B. King, Sidney Poitier, and Neil Simon. 1996 Edward Albee, Benny Carter, Johnny Cash, Jack Lemmon, and Maria Tallchief. 1997 Lauren Bacall, Bob Dylan, Charlton Heston, Jesse Norman, and Edward Villala. 1998 Bill Cosby, Frederick Ebb and John Kander, Willie Nelson, Andrew Copyright Previn, and Shirley Temple Black. 1999 Victor Borge, Sean Connery, Judith Jamison, Jason Robards, and Stevie Wonder. 2000s 2000 Mikhail Baryshnikov, Chuck Berry, Placido Domingo, Clint Eastwood, and Angela Lansbury. 2001 Julie Andrews, Van Cliburn, Quincy Jones, Jack Nicholson, and Luciano Pavarotti. 2002 James Earl Jones, James Levine, Keita Rivera, Paul Simon, and Elizabeth Taylor. 2003 James Brown, Carol Burnett, Loretta Lynn, Mike Nichols, and Itzhak Perlman. 2004 Warren Beatty, Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, Elton John, Joan Sutherland, and John Williams. 2005 Tony Bennett, Suzanne Farrell, Julie Harris, Robert Redford, and Tina Turner. 2006 Zubin Mehta, Dolly Parton, Smokey Robinson, Steven Spielberg, and Andrew Lloyd Webber. 2007 Leon Fleischer, Steve Martin, Diana Ross, Martin Scorsese, and Brian Wilson. 2008 Morgan Freeman, George Jones, Barbra Streisand, Twyla Tharp, and The Who. 2009 Mel Brooks, Dave Brubeck, Grace Bumry, Robert De Niro, and Bruce Springsteen. 2010s 2010 Merle Haggard, Jerry Herman, Bill T. Jones, Paul McCartney, and Oprah Winfrey. 2011 Barbara Cook, Neil Diamond, Yo-Yo Ma, Sonny Rollins, and Meryl Streep. 2012 Buddy Guy, Dustin Hoffman, Led Zeppelin, David Letterman, and Natalia Makarova. 2013 Martina Arroyo, Herbie Hancock, Billy Joel, Shirley MacLaine, and Carlos Santana. 2014 Al Green, Tom Hanks, Patricia McBride, Sting, and Lily Tomlin. 2015 The Eagles, Carole King, George Lucas, Rita Moreno, Seiji Ozawa, and Cicely Tyson. Prospective honorees who declined, cancelled or postponed. Pianist Vladimir Horowitz was to be an honoree, but the selection committee withdrew the offer when Horowitz conditioned his acceptance on being honored alone and at 4 in the afternoon. Actress Katharine Hepburn declined the committee's first offer, though she relented in 1990. When considering Irving Berlin for the 1987 awards because of criticism for overlooking him, the center was informed that Berlin wanted to be honored only if he surpassed his 100th birthday. Also, he was in failing health, being confined to a wheelchair following a series of strokes, and could not attend a public event. The center instead chose to pay special tribute to him at the 1987 gala. Paul McCartney was selected as an honoree in 2002, but the award was postponed a year when McCartney was unable to attend because of an inescapable personal obligation. The obligation was the marriage of his cousin that had been previously planned months before the invitation. In August 2003 the Kennedy Center issued a one-sentence statement saying that Paul McCartney will not be receiving a Kennedy Center honor. McCartney later became a 2010 honoree. See also, Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, the Kennedy Center's award for contributions to American humor. References. External links, official website.